Hi, I'm Joe Finsternis, and it's been a while since I've been on here. Long story short, I've been using my phone to record these videos, and one day I dropped the phone and it did something to the sound where it just randomly started cutting out. I wouldn't be able to listen to music or make phone calls until I restarted the phone, which was a pain in the ass. But I recently filed an insurance claim and had a new phone sent to me, so here I am once again, and tonight I'm going to tell you about a film called Postal. So going into this movie, I kind of had low expectations for it. The director is Uwe Boll, who is pretty much one of the worst filmmakers in history. I saw House of the Dead soon after it came out in stores and hated it. And I will admit that I kind of enjoyed Alone in the Dark when I first saw it as a teenager, but after a few years I recognized its many flaws and I got rid of my copy of that film. It was definitely a waste of funds, to say the least. But when I heard about some of the things that happened in Postal and what kind of movie it was, it sort of sounded like it would be up my alley. There's some pretty stupid comedies out there that I enjoy, and there are even a few stupid action movies that I enjoy. I mean, I've got a copy of X-Men Origins Wolverine sitting in my collection, and I even have Adam Sandler's film Little Nicky, which you can even see right here sitting next to Little Miss Sunshine. So there are definitely some guilty pleasure movies in my collection for sure. I don't know why my upper lip is itching so much. But I mean, obviously there are some movies that I just plain don't like. But I was hoping that in this case Uwe Boll might be able to make something that hit the right notes for me. And there are even some terrible filmmakers out there who manage to score and make a movie that I like every once in a while. I mean, even Michael Bay has Bad Boys and the first Transformers film. So I decided to give this movie a chance, and I will admit that it made me laugh a few times, but it was mostly just during the first 20 minutes or so. Then after a while, the laughs became less frequent and less enthusiastic. A lot of the times I would just be laughing at how completely ridiculous something was in the film. I mean, in the beginning there's this job interview scene that I actually thought was pretty amusing. Like, there's this lady who's asking the main guy, whose name is just Postal Dude in the film, she's just asking him the most ridiculously stupid questions, like, what is the difference between a duck? And yeah, I couldn't help but just laugh at the stupidity of the situation. But the best way I can put it really is that for me, watching this movie was kind of like exercising. There are things that I would rather do with my time, and in the beginning I actually kind of enjoy it a little bit and I'm sort of having a good time doing it, but then after a while it starts to get painful and I want it to end, but I told myself that I was going to stick with it. So yeah, pretty much the best analogy that I can think of. As for some of the jokes that didn't really hit, pretty much the best example would be where Uwe Boll himself appears as himself, where this guy is giving him an interview and he's, kind of trying to make a fool of himself to get a laugh out of the audience. There's one point where he actually states that he gets horny when he's around children, which I do actually find it kind of funny that he wrote this dialogue for himself, but it really just feels like he's trying to pander to the audience like, hey guys, it's me. I know that you all hate my movies. I know that I'm a bad filmmaker, but see, this is me making fun of myself. I'm a failure. And spoiler alert, Uwe Boll dies in the movie and his last words are, I hate video games. That was my Uwe Boll impression. But yeah, a lot of the humor falls flat for sure. A lot of it is just random, unnecessary bullshit, and random doesn't always equal funny. Like, J.K. Simmons appears in the movie a couple of times. You know, he's the guy who played J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man trilogy from the 2000s. The first time he shows up, he's making this really dumb speech about how NASA doesn't exist, and it's not really funny, it's not even amusing. It just makes people dumber from listening to it. And his character dies in the film as well. He gets blown up and his body is thrown against this window by the explosion, and when he hits the glass he's in this position. And then he slides down like this. But I mean, he wasn't even doing that right before as he was getting blown up or anything. So, I mean, there was just no context to it. It was fucking stupid. I will admit that there was a joke which followed that, which was another joke that I thought funny, and it was probably the only halfway decent joke in the entire film, where the owner of this convenience store, which J.K. Simmons had been blown up right next to, he's cleaning the blood off of the windows, his daughter is mopping it off of the sidewalks, and Postal Dude comes running down the sidewalk and he runs into the shop, and the shopkeeper, you know, he sees that he needs somewhere to hide, and so he points to where he can hide, and as the mob comes running by, he points them in a different direction, and when they run off, you know, the daughter asks him, why did you help him? Because he doesn't even know this guy, and his response is, do you want to clean these windows again? So, you know, that was a pretty decent joke, I'll admit, but mostly it's just a really dumb, shitty movie. I also mentioned that it was an action movie, and in this case, I use the term action pretty loosely. The reason I'm, you know, doing that in air quotes is because the action scenes are extremely underwhelming. There's really no intensity to them, no style whatsoever, and it makes Alone in the Dark look good by comparison. Let that sink in for a moment. The action scenes from Alone in the Dark were better than the ones in Postal. I mean, and there are even certain moments which don't make sense continuity-wise. There's a part where freaking Mini-Me from the Austin Powers movies is stuffed inside this trunk, and the camera's focusing on him as he's, you know, moving around as the trunk is being shaken, and then right after that it cuts to a shot where the trunk is still lying sideways on the ground, and then the guy picks it up and starts carrying it. Yeah. So, yeah, there's really not much more to say about the movie. I really can't recommend it. It's gonna make you dumber from watching it. You're probably going to hate yourself for watching it, and I'm getting a headache right now just thinking about Postal. So, yeah, definitely one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. Uwe Boll did not score a hit with this one, and that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope you all have a good one.